Hello, thank you for joining me. My name is Shane Corcoran, and today we are going to be going through the Module 4.2, Organizing for Growth, for Org 610, Organizational Theory and Design course. We have a short agenda today. First, I'm going to talk about my proposal for the new organizational structure of Eagle EV. Then we're going to talk a little bit about the role of leadership in a growing organization. And then finally, we're going to talk about the importance as well as the impact of having. So in last week's assignment, we were talking about sort of the infancy of a company and what a structure might look like for that. And last week I proposed that we at Eagle EV use more of a star type structure that's really focused on not putting up unnecessary barriers for communication between all of the different departments. Because this was an early startup phase of a company, I also wanted to make sure that the customers had direct access to our CEO or that office of people, and that connection was a little bit more personal in the beginning as we're just getting started and really defining what that competitive advantage and value proposition is for the company. So as we are progressing and moving into more of a growth stage of the organization, I think there is really an opportunity and a need to change our current structure and change to something that becomes a little bit more robust for growth and maturity of our business. So, in the previous slide, we had a kind of that star diagram, and it really was focused around a single product, right? That prototyping, that one thing that really got the company started and off the ground. As we are gaining speed, we need to make sure that we are really able to not just take a look at one thing, but we are able to maintain multiple different products and give proper focus to each of those, as well as dedicate a portion of our time to the pipeline and always kind of looking ahead. Innovation is a necessity these days, and consumer wants and needs are always changing, and so it is imperative that the organization always has kind of a thumb on the heartbeat of those ever-changing shifts in wants and needs, so that we can put that into production as a product at sea, if you will. So this model really looks to kind of change from that single product focus into a multiple product focus. What's different here is that each product is really at the forefront of the organization and is supported by what I like to call kind of shared services. So all of the different departments at this point could have multiple people in them, but I would like to see that people are dedicated to either one to a specific product to make sure that we are kind of reducing our WIP and reduce context shifting. So the additional thing about this is that the customer intake is really more from a product level and how these product teams and their like smaller or more lower level leadership would want to kind of consume that. So I see this as kind of moving away from more of the executive office. Also included here is the need for strategic partners, and I see the strategic partners are really valuable and available at all of these different areas within an organization, right? For us to be able to leverage their expertise and their already kind of built solutions out of the box. So that's sort of some of the differences I see from the old to the new. I've seen in my personal life, as well as we all have probably experienced this, that not being focused on a singular product or project really just kind of increases the opportunity for a lot of swirl and a lot of context shifting. And context shifting can be really detrimental to actually making any type of progress. One study found that kind of continual context shifting from project to project found a general productivity decrease of 20% with team members that had to switch between projects throughout the day. So really taking a more focused approach and trying to leverage that is, I think, really important. All right, so as well as our organization kind of growing and a need for them to change, it also is important and kind of imperative for our leadership to change as well. So, as an organization grows and changes, so does the role of all of the leadership, especially the CEO. I believe the leaders must, begin at this stage to start relinquishing some of that control over the day-to-day minutia, and begin to focus more on horizontal and growth, as well as spending time on just general culture of the company and really um, what the atmosphere and presence uh, and kind of like outward image of this company really needs to be, and really is for the general public and how they view the company. So there was a great article by Rosenwick, which um, really talked about creating strategies for growth as opposed to just creating an annual plan, which sort of stops on an annual basis. But uh, but they really focused on leadership kind of developing and creating these strategies for growth and viewing growth as sort of this journey that leadership and the organization need to go on and not really a destination or like targets that we need to hit. Um, so some challenges that I thought were really good to mention here was leadership at this point not thinking big enough. So as our organization is growing and things are changing, I think a lot of leaders really want to make sure that everything happening on an operational basis is still kind of up to snuff and up to quality, and wanting to get kind of into the weeds and caught up in that, I think puts up some blinders for some leadership. So this is definitely a pitfall to kind of avoid, which is encouraging and definitely having leadership looking to the horizon and thinking big picture and about what our business wants to be and finding strategies on how to get there. So, in addition to kind of looking ahead about vision and growth, it's really adopting that atmosphere that people want to come work at and that customers want to buy into, right? Um, so it's really important for leadership to start to begin to cultivate and provide that meaning to employees and the work and the time that these employees give the company, right? Uh, I think it's imperative for leadership to help foster, a high performance and collaborative environment, and it's really necessary nowadays for organizations to develop that story and that spirit that makes this organization unique, right? What makes us different, and different in a really good way that makes us stand out above everybody else. So, a study by Vail in 1982, which I know is quite old at this point, but it mentioned that high performing teams, they really look to have spirit, and that at the core of them being able to be high functioning is this idea of spirit, and that we can all rally around kind of this one thing and this one value set that we're all marching towards. So, I think leadership really has an important role at this point. It's not just about acquiring additional money, but it's kind of looking ahead and understanding that future vision of things, as well as cultivating that culture and really, ingraining that into all levels of staff. Okay, so at this point in Eagle EV's life cycle, I think there's really an opportunity to have more strategic partnerships um, that can solve really a lot of different problems here. But uh, strategic partnerships are important, just generally speaking. So, Professor Douglas, you actually mentioned this in this week's course work that um, that really is important just to foster these, right? And it's that they are truly necessary. Um, and I believe that taking on these strategic partnerships really requires a change in organizational focus, and it potentially has a change on how we create departments and restructure how we do certain things. It definitely has a huge impact on processes that organizations utilize when we have external entities and partners that we're working with. But I've seen from my past, and I definitely would agree with this, that looking at what you're seeing on your screen is a capability, a very high level capability model of an organization, and one that I think could be applied even to Eagle EV. Um, so, you know, to kind of run you through this, there is some strategic capabilities that organizations just sort of need to have. Um, what really sets you or what sets Eagle EV or any organization apart are these value add or operational capabilities, and then there's always just some kind of like support or foundational things that need to be done. So I encourage definitely developing early on strategic partnerships for this back office or support level. These are things that the companies are not gonna that your organization, so Eagle in this case, will not probably specialize in, and so I think it is probably important that we don't spend unnecessary resources becoming specialized in that, and instead utilize learnings and already built tools. Um, you know, with vendors that they can kind of come in and we can plug and play their software. That doesn't come without its challenges, but I think looking at these not as just vendors that you're purchasing a product, but as a relationship that is mutual for both parties is really the kind of mindset to have when going about this. So, um, along with kind of building that relationship, which has potentially long-term opportunities, for revenue and growth. This also allows for organizations to save money on resources and to hire out for a better product. And that kind of allows that in turn frees up resources that would have gone for other things that you don't necessarily have specialized nature in, like let's say building security or IT security. And it allows you to kind of devote that money to what you are good at or your value add capabilities, making sure that those are staying top of mind and cutting edge. So, another opportunity or great thing about having strategic partnerships is really that partnership exposes you to brand new customer markets, right? And that's the customer markets of the strategic partner, and likewise, and that's some mutual benefit. So, all strategic partnerships, should have that value proposition, and it's really imperative that the leadership of either the organization or whatever division or major department really understands what that value proposition is that the organization has with the strategic partner, and really works to understand that and curate that and into a longer lasting mutually beneficial relationship for all. So that is sort of how I see, partnerships sort of changing things. It doesn't necessarily change, maybe grand structure, but I think it definitely frees up some time and it allows for maybe a little bit more of consolidation of oversight when it comes into this back office. All right, so today, just as kind of a recap, we talked about the current structure of Eagle EV and my proposed new structure. We've discussed the requirements for change in leadership as companies grow, and then the opportunities that organizations have to work with strategic partnerships during this phase. I look forward to your feedback and seeing you as we mature in this organization. Thank you.